Hello radio fans near and far. I'm Mark, K5YAC in Collinsville, Oklahoma, the home of Tennadyne and Cubex Quads. This is the first of what I hope to be an informative video series on both of our product lines. But today I want to focus on how I became involved and provide a little history on both of these long-running brands. Today on K5YAC TV. So a bit about me and how I became involved. My earliest recollection of ham radio was in Dallas, Texas in the 1970s. My dad had a tower out back with a 4-element tri-band quad that loomed large over our neighborhood, where it stood for 10 years until a tornado passed through, causing significant damage. It folded the tower over in our yard, and that was the end of the antenna. Many years later, in 1995, I became a ham while serving in the U.S. Army and enjoyed the hobby right from the start. CW was my mode of choice, but a lot has changed since that time, with the many digital modes, microprocessor-controlled radios, and shacks full of very sophisticated equipment. One thing that hasn't changed quite as much are the aerials we use to transmit our signals. Compared to the front-end equipment, antennas are fairly low-tech. However, they remain the single most important component in a radio system. Sure, there have been several new innovations in antenna design over the years, but wire or tubing are still used to make up the primary components. I've been interested in quads for a long time and have designed and scratch-built several, and for years I've wanted to put up a nice HF quad. Since around 2007 or 8, I had looked at the Cubex Mark IV, a 5-band, 4-element design. Cubex had it all figured out, from the very robust subassemblies to the tried and true wire geometry. Some of these things aren't hard to calculate, but in practice, many of the mechanical attributes are a challenge to replicate. The goal was to erect a system that would stand up to Oklahoma weather, from high winds to occasional heavy icing, so Cubex was the only way to go. When it came down to it, during those years with a young family to take care of, a big tower-supported antenna system wasn't going to happen. I got busy with other things for several years. One day in 2018, my son Tyler asked about the radio station I once had. I told him that I still had it, and we unboxed everything that evening and listened to many stations on a piece of speaker wire. It was fun, and the radio bug bit us both. I set my station back up, and a month later at 13 years old, Tyler passed his technician and general to become W5EAA. We tinkered around on VHF, UHF repeaters, worked some DX on HF, and got into several digital modes. Now how about that quad? Just as I was getting back into the planning phase, a piece of property became available where we wanted to build a house, so priorities took over. We broke ground on our barndominium, what we call a hangar home, in 2019. The project took around 14 months to complete, and we moved in February 2020, just before COVID hit. About a year later, in 2021, I found out that the company where I worked for nearly 15 years was moving to Houston. Having just built our forever home, I would not be going with the group to Texas. So now, finally, with some time on my hands, how about that quad? I made several calls and sent several emails to Cubex over the course of a couple of months with no reply. During that time, I got my tower set up, and since it looked like I might not be getting that quad, I installed a DX Engineering hex beam to get me on the air. The hex beam wasn't a bad antenna, but it wasn't what I wanted. So I continued to pursue Cubex, and one day while looking on the Tennadyne site, which they also owned, I discovered an Easter egg that was a hidden announcement from the owner stating that he was ready to retire and was quietly looking to sell the brands. I thought, well, there's an idea. I need something to do, and my shop is fairly well equipped to handle a small manufacturing operation. So I kicked it around for a few days. I had several chats with the owner over the spring and summer months while continuing my research on the brand's products, history, and customer reviews. Seems that I wasn't the only one making an offer, but one day in the fall we struck a deal, and I would bring Cubex Quads and Tennadyne to Oklahoma. Now I'm sure to have that big quad, right? We hit the ground running in October 2021. It was a challenge to get all the operations flowing. We finally did get caught up, but it took us several months. We launched our new websites in April 2022 and attended our first Hamfest that same month. It was a busy time, but through it all we've made many improvements to the shop operations and keep a fully stocked warehouse of raw materials. A bit about the companies. Cubex was started in 1957 in Altadena, California by Carl Sharping, W6KWF, where it remained for several decades and sold a variety of HF models to include the Skymaster, the Mark Series, and several 11-meter quads. Believe it or not, some of these are still on the air. I've helped several long-time customers upgrade spreader arms and replace wire sets, reusing the durable mechanical assemblies they purchased decades ago. In the early 1990s, Norm Alexander, W4QN, purchased Cubex and moved operations to Florida. Norm would be responsible for designing the Expo series of mono and dual band quads, along with the 6-meter, VHF, and UHF products. Norm made several contributions to the brand, and we continue to sell his very popular designs. Around 2007, Norm sold Cubex to Roger Greenfield, WB8NDC in Michigan. Roger already owned Tennadyne log periodics since around the year 2000, so he was taking on this product line with a bit of experience in the market. Tennadyne was founded by Chuck Brainerd, KA1PM, in Fort Collins, Colorado in 1986. Chuck would later move the company to Junction City, Texas, where he operated until selling the company to Roger. Roger and his wife Nancy ran the companies through COVID, but being in their 70s, they decided they wanted to spend more time with their family and grandkids. Cubex, now officially Cubex Quads, offers a variety of VHF, UHF cubical quad designs to include the Centipede 10, Mosquito 6, and the very popular Scorpion series in mono and dual band models. We also offer several 6-meter models in mono, dual, and tri-band configurations. With 6 meters coming alive, these are very popular. The cornerstone of the brand is our legendary Skymaster and Mark Series quads in 2, 3, and 4 element designs with 3 and 5 band models available. These antenna systems include the robust Cubex cast aluminum spider hub assemblies and are machined for a perfect fit on 2-inch and 3-inch OD booms. These durable items are the same today as they've been for decades. Heat-treated aluminum alloy with stainless steel hardware. We brought the original molds from California to a local foundry here in Oklahoma to help reduce our production cost, and we've been happy with the results. Then of course there is the Mantis, our big 40-meter 2-element quad, which also uses our 3-inch cast aluminum hubs. This model is available in monoband form, or we can add 2 elements on 30 and 4 elements on 10 through 20, making this 7-band giant the king of multi-band antennas. With 28 full-wave loops and spreaders that span 52 feet on a 30-foot boom, this is a serious antenna designed for contesters and DXers alike. Not for the faint of heart, the Mantis requires a serious support structure and a heavy-duty rotator unit, but if you're looking for high gain and directivity on 40 through 10, the Mantis is hard to beat. Why a quad? Simply put, they receive less QRN, operate efficiently at lower elevations, and provide better gain than equivalent Yagi types, but on a shorter boom and presenting a smaller footprint. Our quads are constructed using US-made fiberglass and high-quality wire and components. Many have been on the air for decades in unforgiving climates, and they continue to perform. With over 65 years of combined experience, Cubex Quads offers the most durable and highly optimized antennas of their type on the market. The Tennadyne Log Periodic Dipole Array, or LPDA, is a completely different animal, and it too has certainly earned its place in the field with many operators. Some are used for commercial and civil operations, from shares, Mars, and Civil Air Patrol operators, to medical centers, state and county coordinators, and the U.S. military. However, many of our logs are used in the amateur community by operators that want a high-quality, broadband gain antenna. While performance figures are comparable to some other multiband designs, the LPDA produces nice results with no lossy coils or troublesome moving parts. Why a Tennadyne log periodic? The original T-Series line offers multiband coverage from 13 to 30 MHz, with some models optimized for improved performance up to 55 MHz, or VHF-UHF coverage from 50 MHz to 1.3 GHz in our 28 element model. Our XD line provides coverage down to 10 MHz and is built using beefed up materials to support larger and heavier elements, with lighter weight models ranging from our 6-element 47-pound T6 to our largest model, the T14XD, weighing 150 pounds on a 42-foot boom. There are a variety of options to choose from. The Tennadyne hot boom design eliminates the need for a complicated feed system and is direct fed with 50-ohm feed line for better efficiency and a user-friendly installation. Just spin the dial, no tuner required. The Tennadyne line was developed by the founder, and they work so well that we have no plans to change the designs. We have improved some of the assembly materials and instructions, but continue to build using high-quality aluminum from American mills. Tennadyne also produces a very durable and high-quality line of all-band wire antennas. Equipped with an SO239 or N-type connector, our 90 and 120-foot terminated folded dipoles offer excellent performance where frequency agility is desirable. Great power handling for ALE and digital operators. These are a favorite with many national net control operators, and they perform equally well on the amateur bands. So there you have it. I've been wanting to provide a better introduction and share what's been going on here for some time. Tennadyne and Cubex Quads are alive and well, and we continue to serve the radio community around the world. It took nearly 2 years, but I did finally build my own 4-element 5-band Mark IV, and it did not disappoint. It may sound cliche, but quads really do open and close the bands and provide gain to bust the most challenging pileups. As a performance measure, I've nearly doubled my DXCC count with over 200 confirmed entities in 90 days of operation. The Mark IV is everything I expected it would be. We try to get out to Hamfest, but so far have only exhibited at a few local events. It's a lot to exhibit. We continue to rely primarily on social media and word of mouth to advertise, and to keep our costs in check to provide the best pricing to our customers. If you'd like to stay up on what we're doing here, consider joining us on Facebook and LinkedIn for future updates. Thanks for watching, and 73 for now. I hope you've enjoyed this first video for what I hope to be an informative series coming soon. It'll take us some time to build and document all of the models, but perhaps you can let me know what you might like to see in the comments below. Stay tuned for more coming soon on K5YAC TV.